This is the first time in history drug-impaired driving has surpassed alcohol-impaired driving.
Wow, that's good to know.
So it's a big epidemic that's coming forward that it's a problem we've never faced before.
That horrifying new reality was presented by Timothy Kessler, a drug recognition expert with the NYPD. As New York and New Jersey debate potentially legalizing recreational marijuana, the Staten Island Advance and SI Live have produced the United States of Weed, a multi-layered project which focuses on the possible impact legal weed could have on a local level. This special edition podcast is part of the series.
It's not just Staten Island. Like, Staten Island is really in the papers about it, really all over social media about the drug crisis out here. But it really is, each borough has its own little pockets of drug use.
That was Kessler's superior, Sergeant Donald Schneider. Schneider is the agency coordinator for the NYPD, while Kessler serves as a regional coordinator on behalf of the department. Both Schneider and Kessler are with the NYPD's Highway Patrol Division. Both officers recently sat down with myself, Mark Stein, and Shane DeMeo at the Staten Island Advance to discuss the Impaired Driving Awareness Course and their unique and innovative roles as drug recognition experts, also known as DREs. So before we really get into the interview, it's worth noting that the DREs have trained over 5,000 officers across New York State. They work with all sorts of departments, from the New York Police Department up to Buffalo, parts of Long Island, pretty much all around the Empire State. So they're administering this course, this training, and teaching other officers how to recognize drug driving. And as we move along, they're going to explain a little bit about how they do it, the 12-step process. You'll hear all sorts of stuff related to their work and the information that they're passing on to other police officers to improve the department and get drug drivers off the road. Shane DeMeo began the interview with a question that guided us through the conversation with both drug recognition experts. It's a pretty important question.
Now, in terms of drug driving, let's just put the umbrella out there. What does that encompass? Is that any type of drug? Is it pills? Is it just marijuana? For some people who don't know, heroin? What falls in that category of drug driving?
It's any substance that impairs your system to the extent of unable to operate a vehicle safely. So anything from prescription medication, even if you have a prescription, if it's over the therapeutic amount, it's still impaired driving. Marijuana, even if it's legal, if you're driving a vehicle and you're impaired, it's still impaired driving. So it's any substance, even if it's paint, where it's legal to have paint. If you're huffing paint and you're driving a vehi's you're impaired.
Say I got the flu. It's flu season. I have a little too much cough syrup. I'm a little drowsy behind the wheel. I'm getting a ticket, arrested. How's that working out?
Funny that you asked that, because we're actually both taking a chemistry course right now to advance our certifications. And my course was, I did a study on dextromethorphan, which is in cough syrup.
Yeah, it's like the lean stuff on the streets too. You get some of that.
Exactly. It basically mimics PCP.
Right.
And if you drink a little bit too much, it's called robo-tripping.
Yeah. Mm.
So kids will do it because it's legal. You can get it over the counter.
Yeah.
You'll take a couple more sips than you're supposed to have, and now you're impaired. Technically, you can't be driving. Same as if you have a prescription for Xanax. Mm. Say you take a Xanax pill and it's your therapeutic amount, but you say, maybe I need an extra one today. You take an extra one, and now you're a little out of it. You're a little more impaired.
How intensive must this training course be if you have to go for all these different types of pills, substances, smokables? How intense is it? What goes through that training process?
Well, the training that we have differs a lot more than we're offering to basic patrol officers in the precincts. Our training, we've gone through, I'd say, months of training to get where we are now to be able to teach all of this stuff. It starts at very basic stuff where what we're teaching to the officers, just because they can have a leg up and to be able to detect these guys that are driving, or women that are driving. It's the course that we're doing now is a 4.5-hour course.
Wow.
It's basically just scratches the surface of impairment.
Yeah.
We're not teaching them to be able to determine what specific drug that motorist is on. We're training them to be able to determine if they're impaired.
Right, so that's the key there. Okay.
If they're impaired, we train them to arrest them, bring them in, then they're going to call a drug recognition expert down, which we teach, and then we'll do a further evaluation to determine what drug category that person's on.
Okay, so they determine someone's not in the right mind, then maybe they detain them or something like that, and then you guys come down to see which drug it is that they may or may not be on? Is that what you're saying, how that works?
We'll get it down to a drug category. The Drug Evaluation and Classification Program has it broken down into 7 categories. And for each category, they present differently. So there's like different things you'll look for to
Right.
be able to call it, and it could just be a high blood pressure, high pulse. So you can be impaired from something else. There's also times where the cop brings an officer will bring someone in who they believe is impaired, and they'll run through it, and they're not impaired, and it's called a rule out, and we just say, all right, this person is not impaired. You made a good faith effort of making an arrest, and just turns out that they're not impaired at this time when we're coming into contact with them and do our evaluation. So it's very thorough. It takes about an hour.
About an hour. Okay.
Blood test? Is there like a drug test of sort that goes, whether you blow into a breathalyzer for .08 or not?
Right.
Is someone getting drug tested after they're pulled in by one of your people?
Yeah, depending on what the case is, if it's a serious crash where our collision investigation squads come out and you got someone who's arrested, it's going to be blood more often than not. But just like a regular DUI arrested smoking marijuana, it's going to be urine.
Okay.
Requesting urine.
Okay, that's
So
the
it's
next thing I was
definitely
going
a
to ask.
test. Yeah. Okay.
And there are penalties if you can refuse those, and there are penalties. There are license sanctions and whatnot.
And obviously with drinking, it's the .05, .08, whatever the hell. Marijuana, is there slightly stoned, very stoned, middle stoned?
It's
not
like
so, how does that work?
Stone Age. Yeah.
It's
Cheech and Chong, Snoop.
Yeah, it's either you're impaired to the point where you can't drive a car, or you're not. So it's on the lines of either you're pregnant or you're not.
Is Staten Island not a perfect fit for this, in your opinion?
It's funny. There's it's not just Staten Island. Like Staten Island is really in the papers about it, really all over social media about the drug crisis out here. But it really is, each borough has its own little pockets of drug use. You have the opioid issue out here.
Yeah.
The Bronx, we see more PCP than we see any opioids. So it's just really, each place is just different.
The Bronx has PCP, upstate has meth. So it's depending on the drug trends, what's coming up. There's a lot of new drugs they're coming to the surface that people are creating and they're finding in different countries. They're bringing them here and they're starting to abuse those as well. So it's now, right now, is the opioid addiction in Staten Island. In 10 years from now, it's going to be something completely different.
Right.
And that's the challenge that we're facing with the drug impaired driving is an ongoing issue where we have to basically keep current with all our drugs and all the drug trends and relay those messages to the officers.
Considering that the emergence of unexpected drugs or types of chemical abuses could become a trend at any time, Schneider noted that the class taught to officers, which is about 4.5 hours, is always evolving, especially when people can get their hands on other drugs that can mimic hard narcotics.
Who would have thought? It goes back to the chemistry class that Tim was saying earlier. Taking a chemistry class, and I did the one on just talk about Imodium. There's a drug in Imodium that if you take 200 capsules, it has the same properties as same effects that like oxycodone has.
Oh my God!
But you got to take 200. You're not going to go to the vet for probably like a year.
I was just going to say, does it go in reverse? Does it come out of your mouth?
It really binds you up, but it has the effects of that you'd be seeking, and people just figure it out. So yeah.
How often are you guys taking chemistry classes?
Hopefully not that often.
Yeah.
It's not the most
rough,
fun.
right?
Yeah, this is our first chemistry. We have to take a certain amount to obtain another certification. So we're going to take 2 classes and then I think put that to rest.
So you guys will go ahead, take in this, absorb that, blah, 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 and then come back, add it to the curriculum, the program or whatnot, or try to fit something in, and then spread it out to the officers. So you guys really are like first in line on this thing.
The brain center, we like to call it.
We have the brain center.
When a DRE is summoned by police in New York, the responding expert must utilize a 12-step process to evaluate suspects accused of driving under the influence of drugs. Some of the steps are similar to what happens when a driver is alleged to have driven a car drunk, but the DRE process is much more advanced. In addition to a blood alcohol test, DREs also undergo steps that involve interviewing the arresting officer, measuring the suspect's pulse 3 separate times, checking for injection sites on the body, an examination of muscle tone, vital signs checkup, another examination, this time in a darkroom to measure pupil sizes, and perhaps a urine, blood, and/or saliva sample. In other words, it's extremely thorough.
You're confident that this is good evidence for court to hold someone after an arrest or to show if they challenge it in court? This is now accepted in court is what I'm trying to say as viable evidence.
Well, there's two different things to talk about. Talking about the course that we're teaching. It does give, of course, anything goes to your training and experience. So if you're getting additional training that you weren't getting prior, you can now talk about something that you may not have realized was happening in the past. As far as the drug influence evaluations that the drug recognition experts do, that has been accepted in court since the 80s.
Okay.
So it's just
it's just being brought back now and introduced more so, is what
in New York City. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and as drug recognition experts, they actually introduce us as experts in the eye of the court. So we can actually give our opinion on what we feel about the case. Whereas regular officers on the street, they have to basically say the facts of what happened. They can't go into their opinion. As an expert, when they introduce us, we can give our opinion on what we believe is going on.
And you also have you're introducing someone to the case that has no interest in it. It's not. I didn't make the arrest. I have nothing to do with this, and I'm being brought in. I'm an impartial party to it, and I come in and I'm going to say yes, impaired by this drug category, or I'm going to say no, not impaired. And there are times where we find this person is not impaired at this time, and that person gets cut loose.
Are you reaching out to other states to see what their officers are doing, highway or local? Is that something that could happen in the future?
We've been to Colorado.
Okay.
Last year, this past
2 years.
2 years ago.
What was that like?
It was marijuana everywhere.
Yeah.
The smell was.
Yeah, but they acted. It was presented like marijuana is legal and you could walk down the street smoking a blunt and it's totally fine. No, it's not the case.
No.
It's you can smoke in your house and
that's it.
But you can purchase it anywhere. But I think it's like a 24% sales tax rate on.
Oh, they're making money, man. Yeah.
I don't want to pay 8.25%. I don't even know what it is. 8.25% tax on a soda.
Yes.
But, but out in Colorado, people paying 24%. There's all different.
I know, strands, brownie, there's a million things going on. And I'm sure the driving out there, sometimes you guys are probably just sitting around going, it's got to be. What would you take from that? I mean, do you guys take anything you were able to come back with? Or was that, first off, a business trip or personal?
That was a business trip, and we were drug tested immediately upon return. Okay, yeah.
That's
no,
good to know.
I'm just kidding. We were not drug tested. No,
I don't know.
We went out there knowing that marijuana legalization is obviously it's a huge topic, and we went out there for a conference for drugs, and it was just we took that opportunity to go to different places and check out like the dispensaries, and it was really you got a headache as soon as you walked in.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking years ago. I mean, go back to the 80s and 90s when you were just in the schoolyard playing handball and everyone was smoking marijuana and I mean, back when there were crack vials, like nobody knows what a crack vial is now. You know, they were all different colors, and back then, you seen it on the floor and you knew they were crack vials and you knew they were something, and you just So you're probably talking a THC level of like 3%, 5%. Now you're looking at more like 40%, 50%. 3 to 5% THC versus 40, 50, 60% is totally different.
Well, legally, 3%, 50% you're stoned, but subjective or not, 3%.
But like medical marijuana, we're talking more like 3 to 5 percent THC versus growing it in your mom's basement and then
firing that thing up. 40. That's
exactly. So it's just different.
Yeah,
it's just we're talking just different times.
In your own words, where does the passion come from? How passionate do you have to really be to put so much into this effort?
We've both been involved in alcohol and drug impaired driving accidents or collisions. Donnie, how many? 3 times you've been?
I got whacked 3 times.
3 times. I was once on my way to work in my own personal car. He was at work when he got hit.
Damn.
So it's something where maybe coming into the police department, we weren't. I know myself. I wasn't 100% passionate about it. I didn't know really much about it. And it wasn't until I got to Highway Patrol where I started to realize, to see what's going on out there, to see that so many people are driving drunk and driving impaired every day. We teach some of the stats during our courses, and it's 300,000 people are driving drunk every day.
Wow.
Just drunk, impaired, alcohol. Mm-hmm. So now add impaired by drugs. So you're looking at, probably close to 1 million people are driving impaired every single day. And only about 3,200 are arrested for alcohol offenses. I'd say maybe bump that up to 5,000 for both. It's a large number of people that are driving impaired on the road that aren't getting stopped, that aren't, they're not being arrested. And how many of those people are really causing fatalities and injuries? 27 people die every day of drunk driving. So it's an ongoing epidemic. It's only getting worse. It's not getting any better. So it kind of stems where we're the only people that can get these people off the road. We're the only one that can spread that message where The mailman's not arresting drunk drivers. The only people,
Right.
The only time they're stopping, other than us stopping, is if they get to their destination or if they get into a collision before their destination.
Yeah.
Those are the only two times that they're ever going to get stopped.
My passion, I'm not sure where it started. I will say just, and it's many years ago at this point, I was on a car stop on the Cross Bronx Expressway. I worked up in the Bronx. And as I was handcuffing another guy for DWI, my cop car got rear-ended by a drunk driver.
Wow.
So it was really that was one that really
2 in 1.
It really it was a 2 for 1, and you know what, we put him in the back of the car, and we processed them, and but a lot of times you'll get someone who is caught and then they go on to do it a second time, a third time, and you see these 24 times arrested for DWI. I don't think the penalties are there. Yeah, it costs you $10,000. Yeah, your license is gone. Yeah, you get whacked with a fine. Your license is revoked. Yeah, all that's well and good. But I don't think the penalties are nearly as severe as they should be.
For people listening, if you're going to drive, don't smoke weed. If you're going to smoke weed, just stay at home. We'll leave it at that.
And don't do any other drugs. Don't do any drugs at all if you're going to drive. We want to thank Tim Kessler here and Donnie Schneider. Sergeant, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the conversation between Shane DeMeo, DREs Donald Schneider and Timothy Kessler, and myself, Mark Stein. For more on our special series, The United States of Weed, head to SILive.com. Audio editing and sound mixing was done by myself, Mark Stein, and the music was provided by Steve Zaffarano.